And we're back. Excuse us, we're just getting all our and out the way.
Oh my God.
We were just saying, like, we're sitting here and it's a little bit fresh now that we're the 2nd of June and we're officially into winter. But we've been so lucky in Perth. We've had incredible weather.
Yeah, only a couple of rainy days.
We've got a shit week coming up though, so
Yeah.
look forward to that. Some people love the winter.
Yeah, and I think I'm not a fan. I think
it
used to be. Winter used to be my favourite, and then I had kids and realised that there's not a lot that you can do with kids during winter, and it takes a lot of brain power to figure out what the fuck you're going to do to entertain them all the time. Whereas summer, we live at the beach and it's great.
Yeah. I just can't handle being cold, so I'm a summer baby through and through. But anyway, enough about the weather because,
yes,
it's a bit boring. We got better things to talk about.
We do. We certainly do.
But before we get into it.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to
here we go. Another one. Yes.
I'm going to do this just to make Cos smile every single episode. We are the rehow in your pipe work.
Shout
out to the plumbers. Shout out to the plumbers.
This is good. This is good. So last one was Sparkies. This one is plumbers.
Yeah.
What will the next one be?
Oh, you'll just have to keep listening to find out.
I love it.
Oh, look, if no one else laughs, I'm just glad I made you laugh.
Hopefully everyone else gets a bit of a chuckle out of it too.
Yes, exactly.
This time round, we thought we would approach the whole investment side of things when it comes to building, renovating, anything to do with your home. And, there's obviously the monetary investment, but there are other things. Things like emotional investment and also your time investment, which are just as important to discuss as the monetary side of things. So today we're going to cover off the emotional and time investments and what that means, what that looks like. And hopefully delve into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, obviously the financial investment is something that the homeowner carries. Although actually there is some financial investment on the builder's side as well. Ultimately, the homeowner fronts the bill, but there's certain costs that the builder carries as well. But yeah, they're the obvious things. So I'm not going to delve into that too much today. But also, the time investment is very much something that is on both sides of the field as well. It's expected that there's a time investment put in from the builder because obviously they're the one that are giving the service, as are third parties like designers and engineers and, the work that you do as well, Cos. But there's also it's important for homeowners to understand that they need to give an aspect of time into their own project as well, especially if they want a good outcome.
Right. Yes, and being involved in the project is key, I think. And it doesn't matter if it's a small project. I say that in inverted commas because when you're talking about renovating your house, there really is no small project.
No.
The amount of time, energy, effort, emotion that goes into it is the same across the board. It doesn't matter if you're doing a single room renovation like a bathroom or if you're designing and building an entire new house. There are obviously more choices that need to be made the bigger the project is, but the emotional side of things that goes into it is huge no matter what.
Absolutely. If it's a home that you're going to be living in, for the next X amount of years or your forever home, it's a big amount of
Yeah,
pressure to be making all the right decisions, and it can take its toll on you, which is kind of why it's important to spend the time on it. And I guess a
yes.
reason why this has come up and we want to discuss it is because, we have had a handful of clients that are happy to, which is nice. It's flattering that they're happy to sort of give you the work as a designer or a builder and leave you to it. That's nice to some point. But um,
Yes.
you know, if you're the kind of homeowner that's going to turn around and say, well, can't you just send me this and can't you just send me that? Well, no, because if we're going to get you the ultimate result, we need to have your input and we need you to be spending the time on this as well. Otherwise, it's someone
Mm,
else making decisions for your home. And at the end of the day, you're the one living there. So you need to be
that's
taking
right.
some responsibility in the decision making in the process as well. So it is very much, yeah, that time investment is required. Yeah, from the homeowners.
Mm. Yep, most definitely. Being and just the more that you can be involved with the people that you're working with on your project, whether it's a renovation or a new home, um, the like you say, Bron, the better the
Mm,
outcome is going to be, because at the end of the day, your designer is there to guide you and to provide a service, and your builder and the trades are there for the same reason. And you're the one that's got to live in the finished product. You're the one that's going to be there with it every day, and
mm,
how you want that to feel, how you want your home to feel, and everything to do with that.
mm,
um, you need to be involved in that process, in that decision making process, and you need to give it the time that is required to make those decisions and to convey that message to the people involved in the project, so that
mm,
you're left with what you want, rather than
mm,
having to make do because you couldn't spend the time or didn't want to spend the time um, making those decisions and having those conversations.
mm,
It's just such an important one. And I mean, I think the time side of things and the emotional investment is very much wrapped up. And especially when it comes to you being the homeowner,
mm,
um, your home is your haven. It's one of those places that you can be you. It is safe. People are only there if you've invited them in.
mm,
And the emotion that goes along with that is incredibly heightened. And when
mm,
you're talking about spending that investment, spending money on that investment, you really want it to be what you want it to be, and to
mm.
get the outcome that you're just going to love. You wake up every day and you look at what you've created with all of the people that you've been working on the project with. The
Yeah.
last thing you would want is to hate walking through that space.
Yeah, you don't want to be having resentment for the home. I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd done this. Why did they
No.
why did the builder choose to do this? Well, you weren't around. Like, don't get me wrong as
Yeah,
well. You
exactly.
obviously hire professional services to help save you time. And we bang on about that all the time. We're here to help homeowners and
Yeah.
builders save time so that they can be efficient. But it doesn't mean that you can back away from the responsibility completely, because your input is
No,
definitely required. And it will actually be
it
more of an
is.
emotional drain if you, yeah, it, I'm laughing. I'm having a little chuckle to myself because I'm thinking when it goes too far the other way, and then the client is there a little too much, and the builder can't actually have the space to doesn't actually have the space to do their work because the homeowner's basically following them around and being their shadow all through construction. That's not fun either.
Yes.
But
No,
you need to
that's not
be
a lot of fun
readily.
at all,
That's
actually.
not fun at all. But you need to be readily available. If you're spending the amount of money you're spending, you don't want to be, uh, you want to be involved to make sure that you're going to get the best outcome there.
Mm.
Now, what
I
about the
mean,
time
on the
involvement? Oh,
time.
Sorry, we were about to go on
That's
the
what I
from
was
the
going
same.
to.
You were going there too. All right, I'll shut up and let you go.
Yeah. So on the time side of things, you really do need your homeowners' input into the design for sure. Like I was sort of mentioning before, is at the end of the day, it is their home and it's their investment. They are going to need to feel comfortable in the end product. So having their input in the design phase of things is 100% needed. And also down the selections as well, because selections is tied up in time, but it's also tied up in emotion, because it's how does that product make you feel? Is it going to give you the aesthetic look that you're after? And it's also tied up in the monetary side of things. How much budget? Hi, Morgan.
Morgan feels really strongly about that point. That's
really
my
does.
2-year-old corgi, for those that can hear the dog barking in the background. He's got little dog syndrome today.
It's also tied up very heavily in the monetary side of things. So how are those selections fitting in your budget? And so it really does talk to all three.
Yeah, they're intertwined for sure. I think because of what's important to note with the emotional side of things is, it's easy for us professionals to a little bit lose track of what it's like from the homeowner's perspective. A little like what we spoke about in episode 1. I was sharing about my personal experiences with building, and if that gives you that perspective of understanding it from the other side. And sometimes we do forget, because that was so long ago, and we do what we do every single day. Or if we've got a builder that's maybe, I don't know too many builders that haven't built for themselves, but if you've got anyone working in the industry that hasn't experienced that as much on the other side, you can be oblivious to the fact of the emotional toll it is taking on the homeowner. And sometimes we just forget it can be very stressful at various parts of the process as well. It can be stressful even just thinking about doing a renovation. It can be quite daunting before anything's even happened. When the process starts getting going, and then the homeowner realizes just how many moving parts there are, and it's a lot more overwhelming than what they first anticipated it would be when they're in the thick of it. And then, you get through all the planning, and then, feeling good again. And then all of a sudden, boom, construction starts, and there's dust everywhere, and there's noise, and, you thought you'd be okay. And you're trying to live through the renovation, or you've moved out, and your whole life's been upended while your project's going on. Which, by the way, is totally worth it in the end when you move into your new house. But, there's the emotional and the stress that comes along with going through that short-term pain, that sometimes us professionals, we see it all the time. We forget just how much that can impact someone's world at the time. And so having that awareness around the emotional toll that it can have on the homeowner is something that I think would be beneficial just to keep in the forefront of your mind as a builder or a designer or anyone that's involved in the process, working on the project. We can get a little bit frustrated at homeowners sometimes when they're taking forever to make decisions, or if they're asking us a million questions that aren't actually really that crucial to said part of the project that we're working on. But we've got to remember that from their perspective, that is really important for them to know right now. Or, they might be feeling a little bit stressed because they're out of their normal routine. And obviously people deal with that on different levels. So having that awareness, and therefore that little bit of compassion around that, I think is a really good tip for builders and designers and anyone involved in the project.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there is a lot of overwhelm and a lot of anxiety that kind of goes along with any sort of renovation and build project, especially if you're not in the industry. There's a lot of unknowns, and that alone can cause a lot of anxiety and a lot of angst. And I think you're right there, where we really do need to take a breath and as the professionals, take a breath and really provide some empathy for the homeowners that are going through that process. Because it is a huge step. It's a lot to commit to, not only for time, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like you say, Bron, it's a lot of disturbance to your life. Your whole world gets turned upside down, particularly if you're living in the home while the renovation's going on. You know, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of dust, there's a lot of clutter, but ultimately it's all to get you where you want to go and how you want your house to be, so that you can feel this amazing transformation. And it's really, truly worth it at the end. And I think we just need to remind the homeowners of that.
Yeah, and that links back to the time investment that's required of the homeowner at the beginning, because, you know, that disruption through construction, whilst unavoidable, it can be made more bearable, more time efficient if everything has been taken care of in the front end of the process. And everything is going to
Yes.
be taken care of in the front end of the process to the level of detail that's required for a smooth construction, if it is given sufficient time from obviously the
Yes.
builder, the designer, but also the homeowner, to make sure that all the information has been gathered, the brief has been fully understood, all of the details have been nutted out. And that can only be done in a true collaboration between, you know, I mean, from my perspective, the way I see it is it's a three-way between the designer, the builder, and the client. And it needs to be equal time with all of those three parties to make sure that you get that best result. So I guess the moral of the story for our homeowners is, if you're investing the money, you know, make sure you're prepared to spend the time investment as well, to get you the best outcome.
Yes.
And if you're a builder, you know, the builder spends a lot of time on your project as well. And but they need to also be aware of, you know, it's not the homeowner's day to day. We just need to have a little bit of empathy and compassion for the emotional investment that's also been put forward by the homeowner. And just for the homeowner to understand that the builder is giving you a time investment as well. And if everybody can just be understanding and respectful of the efforts that have been put in from all parties, it should make for a really great working relationship, a smooth construction, and a fantastic outcome.
Absolutely. This is probably more, well, especially from the emotional standpoint, it's probably more information for homeowners. When you're talking in investors in the industry, things are a little bit different when it comes to that side of things. You make decisions around logic and fact, and there's less emotion involved. So we're probably not talking so much to that that part of the industry, but definitely down the homeowner path, because that is heavily, and your decisions are heavily involved with emotion. Because, like we were saying, you know, and we've said right throughout this episode, it's your home, and you know that's where your decisions should be coming from.
Can I just do a little plug, not just for my services, but for the services of any designer, right? You know, this is why our job exists. And I think the role of a designer, whether it be a building designer or an interior designer, is a little bit underestimated. People typically, and I'm stereotyping, see it as an unnecessary or additional service. But everything we've just spoken about today is actually made more manageable and bearable with the services of a designer on your team, and someone on your team early in the process that can work in a three-way with your builder, yourself, and obviously them. So, you know, I think, yes, we're on one hand, we're saying that, you know, a homeowner needs to be prepared to make the financial investment, the time investment, and the emotional investment. But that doesn't mean that the emotional and the time investment need to be hard. They need to, you know, the responsibility needs to be there from the homeowner, but it is made a lot easier when you've got the professional services of a designer on your team who's going to help you make those decisions, who can be the person that can take the emotion out of it and bring some logic in amongst your emotional bandwidth, and that can help speed the timelines along so that you're not spending as much time as what you would as if you were trying to do it by yourself. And then, from the builder's perspective, same, we're there to help the builder save time because we're connecting the dots for them. I just wanted to throw that in there because I think it's a good little.
No, it's a very good point to make. Yeah. It is a very good point to make because, obviously builders are very good at what they do, and I think that from having that center person to kind of pull everything together from the homeowner's side of things and from the builder's side of things, and be that central point of contact, but also that central point of information and knowledge, to be able to pass that information across, to collate everything, and doing it day in, day out, like you do, Bron. You have your processes in place to ensure that all of the I's are dotted, all of the T's are crossed. You have all the information you need from the homeowner, that you've helped them, navigate all of the decisions that they need to make. You've given them advice on what would suit them, their design best, but also what would suit them best from a practical standpoint, and also what fits in their budget. That's it. And then you've also there to pass that information along nice and easy, in sort of like a templated form, so that the builder has everything that they need to get on with the build. That transfer of information and the processes that you've built over the time that you've been doing this, and other designers out there, of course, as well. It just means that the whole process can be nice and smooth.
Yeah,
that's right. And
that damn lag.
It always comes in about this point, doesn't it?
It does.
It's really
telling
annoying.
us you're not allowed to do podcasts longer than 10 minutes. Damn it. We will sort this in due course, everybody. Bear with us. We're learning as we're going. You're right. The designer acts as this is why we say we're the glue in the glue lamb. We're the rehow in the pipe work. This is what we're talking about when we have a bit of a laugh with that stuff, but essentially, that's what it's referencing is, we're the tool in the toolkit. That is the thing that can help translate the client expectations into what the builder needs so that it gets the best result. Yes. But really understanding that financial investment, the time investment and the emotional investment, if all parties are aware of what's going on, and then how can we work together to ease the burden of those necessary evils.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Brilliant. Well